please welcome to the stage Brandon Piper and Adee Shepen.
Oh my God, these feelings just begun.
Hello. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
We're thrilled to be here. I'm Adee Shepen. I'm the Chief Growth Officer at the Jed Foundation. Jed is one of the nation's leading nonprofits working to protect emotional health for teens and young adults and prevent suicide for them.
And I'm Brandon Piper, and I'm a Senior Director and Strategic Advisor at Propper Daley, which is now part of Bully Pulpit International. We are a culture-first impact agency, and our clients include leaders of industry, culture, and philanthropy, ranging from John Legend, Kerry Washington, Shawn Mendes, and Madonna, to Best Buy, Waymo, the Gates Foundation, and of course, the Jed Foundation. The Invisible Game series exemplifies the powerful impact of storytelling in transforming perceptions and behaviors around mental health, especially among young Black men. By leveraging the voices of athletes, the campaign fostered authentic conversations and provided relatable narratives that resonated deeply with its audience. We know that when young people see themselves in mental health conversations, they're more likely to open up and seek help. Authentic representation challenges stereotypes and creates permission for similar conversations. However, we also know that young Black men have traditionally been left out of these conversations. With young Black men being at higher risk for mental health challenges than their peers and being less likely to seek help, we knew that it was critical to reach this audience. We approached this work with the intent to shift the culture around mental health and young Black men. Culture has the ability to greatly impact behavior. Behaviors like whether or not people actually seek help, how willing they are to communicate about their mental health struggles, and the narratives that they create around mental health. We know that while the work starts with increased awareness, it's important to find trusted messengers who can help shift attitudes and behaviors, validating nascent beliefs, changing dominant narratives, and creating moments to break through the noise, ultimately influencing specific outcomes and policies. We also know that the way that people get information is fundamentally changing, as we've heard through many of the conversations throughout this past 2 days. Increasingly, people are getting news and information more passively rather than actively seeking it out. That is why it's important now more than ever to meet audiences where they are, disseminating information through the people and communities with whom they feel most connected. It's often happening through what's called a parasocial relationship, where followers feel a deep personal bond with creators and well-known figures, even though the relationship is one way. That bond makes the information more trusted, more memorable, and ultimately more persuasive. If we want to shape opinions, drive awareness, or mobilize people around an issue, we can't just rely on traditional media. We need to meet people inside the culture in order to make the greatest impact through the influencers, entertainers, gamers, and athletes that they already trust and feel connected to. This is why it was critical to rethink the cultural barriers preventing young Black men from talking about mental health and seeking support. Barriers such as a lack of representation, role models, and stigma within the community. Furthermore, finding the right storytellers was critical to impacting our audience. And that's why we partnered with LeBron James's Uninterrupted to ensure that these stories were told with authenticity and through a partner who was deeply respected and integrated into the community. We chose athletes because we know that they aren't just sports figures. They're trusted messengers who can transform how we talk about mental health. Their voices and stories created relatable entry points to what can be difficult conversations and bridged generational and cultural gaps. And the intergenerational modeling through the series also shows the strength in vulnerability through existing trust and admiration.
A father, a son, an Olympian, a music producer, anxiety, depression, grief, loss, disappointment. The goal of the campaign series was to equip young Black men and the people in their support networks with the tools and resources they need to create lasting communities of care. The research we did demonstrated that the best messengers for this came from the sports industry. Athletes were chosen, as Brandon said, because of their leadership, their relatable stories, their personal journeys, and their trusted relationships with their fans. It was important to get them to explain their feelings through this campaign, and we're so grateful to our partners at Uninterrupted for using their access to these figures in the sports world and help us in supporting this work. Above me, you see a quote from Master P as part of this campaign. I think Black fathers always feel like they gotta be so tough, and their kids have to be so tough, and we don't need to be that tough. This was the message that was one of the key messages supported through the campaign. You don't have to be so tough. Real men do cry. This message really resonated, and I wanted to share with you just two other messages that came through from the viewers and the engagement. Forgive me for reading for the slide. One of them was, thank you for sharing this segment. Its importance is beyond paramount. Hashtag representation matters. Hashtag check in on your friends. Another said, I needed this video today. Thank you both for addressing mental health. And a third, fathers being father figures in a young Black man's life is key and plays a larger role in mental health. We need more messages like this. That was the most liked comment from one of our YouTube viewers. Sorry, forgot this was my slide. So, how does this campaign help? What we know and what research has shown us is that young people are more likely to reach out to their parents. This has changed from what we knew just a few short years ago. In fact, parents are now the first people that they turn to for support, and so educating the parents and the others around them is critically important. Parents, if they're equipped, can really help the children and the young people in their lives, but they need to be present. They need to not try to fix everything, which of course is often the first go-to for parents, and they need to listen with empathy and understanding and a lack of judgment. And so creating a microsite that helped to deliver the messages and tools that parents need in order to support their children and other young people in their lives was critically important.
This campaign not only highlighted the importance of representation and role modeling, but also demonstrated the power and potential for athlete voices and stories to drive positive change in mental health attitudes and behaviors. The process learnings from this campaign emphasize the need for mission alignment, strategic planning, and strong partnerships in creating impactful content that addresses critical social issues. We also needed to partner with a group that had a significant platform that reached our target audience. And Uninterrupted was the perfect fit, as they knew how to tell the story from our audience's perspective on their channels. We ensured that this content and Jed's resources were easily accessible across digital platforms like our microsite that we mentioned. And then we leveraged YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and other digital platforms, as well as earned channels, email campaigns, and partner marketing to reach as many young Black men as possible.
So what did we learn from this? Well, vulnerability is strength, right? This is something we can say over and over again, but when you see it, when you see people sharing their vulnerability, you take away that sense of strength. We know that as athletes, as trusted messengers, if they show their vulnerability, young people watching this campaign will feel less alone, and that's one of the key things we wanted to get out of this campaign. We also learned that representation still matters, right? We know this, we say it, and we hear it all the time, but it matters, and we have to continue to model it. We also know that expert guidance hand in hand with storytelling is what can really drive messaging and actually change behavior. So combining Jed's expertise with Uninterrupted and with Propper Daley and Bully Pulpit together made that difference, which of course leads to the fourth point, which is that partnering drives impact. And obviously that's a theme we've talked about here throughout Engage for Good. Partnering, right? Together we're going to drive impact, and that together we can create something bigger than the sum of its parts.
Our social impact agency, Propper Daley, which again is now part of Bully Pulpit International, has served as the primary fundraiser and key advisor to the Jed Foundation's storytelling and culture change effort since 2023. In our role, we provided strategy, partner management, and project coordination, and we played an instrumental role in bringing Uninterrupted into the work. Uninterrupted's insights on strategy and messaging were also central in bringing this work to life. We went into this work with a mindset that when credible, authentic, aspirational people can openly speak to their mental health struggles, it gives others permission to do the same. And we are happy to report that it did just that. Launching on World Mental Health Day, the campaign resulted in over 7.9 million impressions and 1.6 million video views. To measure our impact, we leveraged Lumiere's data tools that surveyed 900 young men with a full survey pre and post watching the content. We found that over 80% of viewers surveyed reported feeling represented and engaged by the series, underscoring the power of diverse storytellers and relatable narratives. Viewers also expressed a greater likelihood of reaching out to their coaches, with 78% indicating this compared to only 39% in a national sample of Black teens. This suggests the series effectively encouraged proactive help-seeking behaviors and the authentic portrayal of intergenerational conversations about mental health encourage viewers to reflect on their own experiences and seek support.
I want to leave you with a few more of the takeaways that we learned. These are things that hopefully will help you all with your campaigns as well. We all have a role to play in normalizing mental health, and I want to repeat that. We all have a role to play in normalizing mental health. Thank you. Together, we can create space for important dialogues. We need to meet people where they are and acknowledge that one message doesn't fit all. And lastly, the real story for the right audience. Authenticity, as Brandon said. This is what is going to make a difference. We don't need hero journey narratives. We need real people sharing their stories, helping young people feel less alone, helping young people connect with what they see as they scroll. This is where we're going to make a difference. This is where together we're going to really have true change.
Thank you all for your time. We encourage you to watch the series.
Yes.
See you, I should have run, but I'm frozen in motion, and my head tells me to stop,